what's going on right now with the pandemic situation, how people are dealing with it, the solution found, and what's they expect for the future. I know it's for many people it was a really hard situation. For others, they found pretty interesting solution. I know about Black Fox; they were really creative, but I have to learn a lot. So that's why we organize it, and maybe we'll find way more efficient way to deal with that. The CCS, our organization, organized a monitoring survey with the small business owner, and to see how people were dealing, and to have a better idea which sectors are more struck by the pandemic and all that. So Robert was in charge of this, and it will be our first presenter for today. The second presenter will be with Sarah at the downtown Saskatoon. It's an interesting organization which is involved with small business in Saskatoon. So that will be interesting to know more about how their organization get involved with the boutiques and different business. And well, and if she can give us more information about what's getting out of all that and what is the future, it will be interesting. And we will have Gina and Taylor from Living Sky Café, which is really, really interesting. It will be really, they will share the experience. It's a real life experience, not only theory. So that's really good to see you today. Thank you, Gina, Taylor.
Thanks for having
So
us.
let's start with Robert. It will present us more or less well, not complete, but at least it will present the most interesting part of the survey we did at the CCS with a small business. Hey, thank you, Robert. You can go.
Oh, you're on mute, Robert.
Oh, mute.
There we go.
Voilà. Bon, bonjour tout le monde. Hello, everyone. As Stéphane suggested, the majority of the presentation will probably be in English, but I will do it bilingual as much as I can. If I took the time to do everything bilingual and went through everything that I noted and in regards to the survey, I would take up the full hour. So I was told I have about 10-12 minutes. So I will do the presentation, as I said, probably mostly in English with a few excerpts in French as I move along. But if anyone has any questions, you can ask me either in French or in English. Your choice. I will respond to either of the official languages. Alors, merci beaucoup pour l'opportunité de vous présenter un peu, pas les résultats, mais un peu mes observations du sondage. So I'll present basically the observations of the survey. I'm in the process of finalizing the report, so it was kind of a little bit premature, but in any event, I will go through some. Le CÉCS m'a embauché pour justement faire un sondage pour comprendre un peu les effets de COVID-19 sur les petites et moyennes entreprises. Et à partir de là, les employés du CCS m'ont fourni avec une liste d'entreprises potentielles passées en entrevue. So the CCS hired me to do this survey and gave me a list of businesses to do follow-ups with and to try and find out what effects COVID-19 had on what impact it has, and perhaps what impact it's going to have, because as you all know, as we all know, we're not done with COVID-19. It's here to stay. And so I think probably you as business owners know that better than me in terms of the deep effects, because I certainly can't get into your heads and find out the psychological effect, but I know there has been some. So basically the study, as I stated, touched around 3 or 4 things. Was basically, one of the things was in terms of, number one, was your business impacted by COVID-19? And if so, was it positive or negative? And for the majority of cases, well, everybody's business was impacted by COVID-19. But for the majority of cases, it was negative. Il y a quelques entreprises qui ont signifié que COVID-19 a eu un impact positif sur leur entreprise, une augmentation des revenus et tout ça. So some businesses, a small minority, stated that it did have a positive impact on their business, that business picked up during that period, depending what type of industry you're in and that sort of thing. And so certainly the businesses in the tourism sector and in the service industry sector that were, I guess, designated as non-essential, certainly took the hardest hit. And I'm not telling you anything new as such. So, and as I stated, tourism was very, very affected also by COVID-19. Some of the questions surrounded about programming and some of the programs that the federal government, provincial government laid out, and who perhaps benefited from these programs. So my question was basically, did it impact? Did you benefit from any of the programs? And I asked the business people to identify which of the programs. And although there were some programs out there, the majority of the businesses that I contacted were smaller scale businesses. Those that were larger seemed to have a bigger impact and benefited from the programs more than the smaller ones. Actually, the smaller 1-2 person operations probably did not take any advantages of the program and stuff. But those that had a larger scale operation, certainly in terms of the $40,000 loan that was available, in terms of the subsidy for employment, took advantage of those. And also in terms of some even individual or smaller took advantage of the CERB that they would qualify for. Alors, comme j'ai indiqué, les entreprises ont tout de même indiqué que les programmes gouvernementaux, malgré qu'il y en avait plusieurs, pas tout le monde ont bénéficié des programmes, a pu bénéficier. Puis il y en a d'autres, some of them even said that they qualified for the programs, but some of them said, I don't want to get into borrowing more money. I don't, so they did apply for the 40,000, but never used it, or some used it very little as such. So that was some of the first questions surrounding. Stéphane, si tu peux me donner un peu l'ordre du temps, un peu, me faire signe 3 minutes, 4 minutes ou quelque chose comme ça, là.
Okay.
Ça m'aiderait beaucoup, okay? So the next question was in terms of human resources and what impact it had on human resources. So those that had employees, for the most part, their human resources, their employees were affected either through layoffs or very few of the businesses were able to keep all their staff on and work towards getting the subsidies for all of the staff. So some took advantage of those, but the impact also was that some of the businesses indicated that getting those employees back was not necessarily as easy as it was expected in the first place, or as they thought it might be as such. So, and not everybody's back in full operation. So that being said, there's still some issues out there in terms of employment, some very serious issues, as you are perhaps all aware, even though in Saskatchewan, apparently we have the lowest unemployment rate right now, but it's still relatively high compared to before the pre-pandemic as such. So, so that's basically the first two areas that we looked at. As I was going along in the survey, j'ai questionné les entreprises quel genre de service que le CÉCS aurait pu offrir pour aider vraiment à aider les entreprises pour passer à travers ce processus, à travers cette crise. Alors, les entreprises ont indiqué qu'ils auraient apprécié peut-être voir en termes proactifs, il y avait plein d'informations. There was information overload that came through with everything that was going on with the federal government, what they were announcing and some changes. I have 2 minutes left. Wow. Okay.
It's not long.
Okay, so with all the changes, I guess, to keep abreast of everything and some of the changes were going on,
But you know, Robert,
businesses indicated that it would have been
you can take
good
2
to have
more
somebody
minutes.
to speak to and not just you have to read up on information that was coming through, whether it was being forwarded by the CCS, the federal government, the provincial government, whichever it was. So,
Robert, I'll just,
yeah.
Stéphane mentioned you can have a couple of extra minutes if you need there, so.
Okay. The other thing that I asked was in terms of visibility, what impact and what happened in terms of marketing and that sort of thing with your businesses. And that was probably where the greatest need was expressed with businesses, and saying that they had to transform, they had to be innovative in their thinking, and they had to try and figure out how they were going to go through this, and to try, once they were able to reopen at a smaller scale and stuff like that, how are they going to get the message out? How are they going to make people feel sure that feel safe when they would come into their business, so on and so forth. So getting that message out was a bit of a more difficult for some of the businesses, and some of them clearly, especially when you're dealing with restaurants, that sort of thing, indoors, became a very difficult challenge. Everybody that I spoke to, they made the necessary adjustments that were recommended by the Saskatchewan Health Authority and that sort of thing, and are still carrying on with those adjustments. However, they're feeling that the competition has become more fierce, and because not everybody's wanting to go back to restaurants, not everybody's wanting to do these things. So the competition is greater to get that message out that, yes, we're open for business, we're limited, but we're willing to serve you, so on and so forth. So in essence, the impact, and I guess I was trying to figure out with business owners exactly what their thoughts were into how long this pandemic was going to be with us, or how long they thought it would affect their business. And I don't think there's one that stated 6 months or less. It was mostly a year to 2 years that they felt that it was going to be. For some businesses, the situation is critical. It's critical that some changes be made, and that they can, that it could affect the long-term viability or even the medium-term viability of the business. So because the industries that were contacted were so wide and varied, there was a great response, a different response from various industries. So basically, the impact is everybody's trying to adjust, everybody's trying to cope with the changes that were imposed and the restrictions that were imposed, and they're hoping that through this pandemic that everybody will come out good in the long run. But there's a lot of concern out there. So I'm going to stop at that. Stéphane, it gives you a brief overview, and I'll answer any questions that anybody has. Alors, si vous avez des questions, plus tard, n'hésitez pas de me les poser. You want to leave the questions for the end, Stéphane? I can.
Oui, c'est un petit peu aussi ce que j'avais en tête. Peut-être ça va leur laisser le temps de réfléchir un peu plus aussi. Des fois, ça aide. Donc, okay.
So we'll keep the questions until the end of this networking event. Once everyone has spoken, we'll have an open question and answer period for the guest speakers.
Yeah. So yes, okay. So our next speaker will be Sarah, and I hope you're ready. I'll give
Ready.
you the. Yeah. All right.
Hello,
Let's go.
bonjour tout le monde.
Sarah,
Yeah.
do you have anything that you want to share on the screen at all during your presentation? If you do, I'll give you the permission to.
No, but I'm gonna like hold stuff to the screen, old school. No, we'll do it that way.
No problem.
That's funny. Didn't know I had that possibility.
Okay, good.
Anyways, so so hello, bonjour. Je suis très contente et fière vraiment d'être ici de la part de tous nos membres, all our businesses in downtown. I am pretty proud and honored to be here on behalf of them. We are also, I just feel like I need to start with this. We're also super proud that in this whole scare of all these businesses are going to close and shut down, we do not yet have one business downtown who has closed due to COVID reasons in this time that we know of so far. And for that matter, we even have businesses opening in this. So kind of a myth-busting detail. We're doing okay. Our businesses are surviving, and they're making this happen and work. So pretty darn proud of them for that. If I knew I should be doing this bilingual, I would have looked up how to say pivot in French, because isn't that kind of the most important word of this whole pandemic? But definitely our businesses have been pivoting by necessity and by survival mode. And we've certainly found for ourselves and for them, I made a hashtag, I don't know if it's a real one or not, but hashtag COVID accomplishments, because we're getting our back burner projects finally done, and we are developing new processes that frankly you go, why didn't we do this before COVID? And those things will live on. So I think through some of the things I'll say, I think that's part of it is, yeah, there's going to be some of this that we can't wait to have go away and be done with it. But a lot of it is actually kind of wins that we go, oh, ways to do this differently. And we certainly will carry them through. So I kind of broke my presentation down into small business, probably not properly naming small business. I think it's mostly the retail restaurant side of our membership. And then I'll get to kind of larger businesses, which really for us is probably medium-sized business, which is really more offices, and then a bit about what we accomplished for ourselves and for our businesses. So as for those retail restaurants, of course, all of them looked at the required rules and they started figuring out what they'd have to implement by wearing masks or not, and physical distancing and don't touch signs, planning lineups on getting into the store and whatnot. So, you know, as everyone had to follow those rules, they certainly were following that. Some of the clever things that I found with masks was we actually had a Saskatoon Open Door Society who decided to use their volunteers to sew masks with scrap fabric, and then they had them sent to the university to be sterilized and packaged. So we actually ended up getting a very large box that we were allowed to share out with people, and that was one source of some of that PPE that is so important right now. And then another menswear place had his shirt maker use his scrap fabric and make him like a mask that would match your new shirt you're buying. So I thought that was pretty cute. Online was obviously a really big part of everything everyone had to cram into doing and figure out intensely. So a lot of people were amping up their social media. Some people were even just outright getting a website, because if you didn't have that online presence, you weren't being found through this. And then a lot of people took the opportunity to get their online sales running. And then eventually it became about, okay, we get to have people come to the store, so how can we let them come and shop and eat? So first of all, it was a question like on the retail side, do I accept my order, the shipment of the order, or do I not accept it? And I have one particular retailer who said, I accepted every order, and the company even started sending me other orders that were not accepted at other stores. And so she even got discounted stuff and more stuff to sell. So that was kind of different ways to look at accepting those orders. We then also, of course, saw versions of curbside pickup and delivery. Of course, Skip the Dishes and Uber and those sorts of programs definitely flourished and got more participation. But then Jenna and Taylor are here because I love them so dearly and all of their efforts, and they do really well at everything. Okay. And they are a prime example. They were delivering weekly meals with their husbands, you know, so you do what you got to do. Anyways, more from them later. We also saw literally managing lineups. So X's on the sidewalks. And we have Lululemon, who had a constant like 10-person lineup and only 3 people in the store. And so just the logistics behind all of that. We also have some stores who are still today only letting people come shop by appointment. And quite frankly, some of them are really enjoying that. And that may be for some of them a plan going forward to keep that element. Okay, so our more office side of things. This obviously depends on the office sizes in terms of if you left or coming back or where you're at in that part. But frankly, we have some like one-person law firms, for example, who never left because their layout of their office worked and their low numbers of staff worked, so they could kind of just be part of, basically call each other family, and then they could have that process to still be able to stay. On the flip side, we have companies, larger companies, so like Federated Co-op, they have 2 elevators in their building for staff to move up and down. And I think to this day, they have very limited staff back because they can't do the COVID safe movement of staff with just those 2 elevators. So there's yet to return there. So as for the office space, certainly we've heard that, oh, well, everybody's going to downsize because we can all work virtually. We definitely will have some of that. I think on the receiving end of that might be those co-op office situations, of which we have a few downtown as well. But on the flip side, some businesses are going, whoa, we actually need more office space because I need on a regular basis to be able to stay the distance from my colleagues, or close in what was an open floor plan, start closing it in with office walls. So we've definitely seen, I mean, frankly, that's across the world, but both sides of how people are working with that. So logistics of the returns. So again, I'm just throwing things out here, but so our office actually, our outside staff who go around cleaning downtown, they operated on staggered start times and break times so that there was minimal crossover within the office space. Other businesses are doing 50% of the staff are in on XYZ days, and the other 50% are in on ABC days. And that essentially avoids your whole staff getting sick, so that someone is always healthy to run the operation. I've heard of the concept of directional arrows in the hallway, just, you know, a one-way hallway essentially, so that you don't have the people crossing. I realize I keep doing this because that's a lot of what this is all about. We can't cross paths. Then of course the IT realm has grown. So here we are on Zoom, Microsoft Teams, all the platforms. You know, did you buy your stocks in Zoom? I think they went through the roof. But there are certain versions. So working with, for example, the city of Saskatoon, they can't use Zoom because it's not a safe, compliant network or whatever. You know, some certain companies are going to have HIPAA compliant. Okay, thank you. So, you know, what platform you're able to use was part of your rules. I think there's also, I've heard, a success in having a regular morning meeting or daily meeting or whatever. Right at the outset, I personally found a Simon Sinek team meeting YouTube video, because they've always done virtual meetings, and so they kind of were teaching other people how to lead virtual meetings so we don't all flounder in this little square or rectangle on the screen. And then I think also there was the importance of meeting with your teams in a 5-à-7 style, in that virtual water cooler situation, so that it's not only and always business, business, business. It's sometimes you're literally having that verre à vin, the glass of wine, and just enjoying that partnership with your colleagues. And so that was part of it. So returns to the office for them, some of them are having to follow head office requirements, and head office is in some worse off province, which means they can't go back even though we're doing differently here. I spoke with one team who, as a staff who wants to go get a paper off your desk, you have to book in to find out if you can go in, and they're very cautious about the limited number of people allowed in at a time. So you kind of have to book in 2 days in advance. You can't just, oh, I need this, and run to the office, which I admit I have the luxury of doing. And then we've also heard that for acknowledging the importance of culture and mentoring the up-and-comer employees in your business and supporting the neighboring business-to-business situation, we just have to get back to our office. Is that a 3? Okay. Okay. So I'll quickly jump to what we did. And again, this is literally all for the sake of our businesses. What did we offer? So day number 1, I too was in that provincial phases and rules document and reading, what are our businesses going to need? And so we've tried, and I think the most important was listening. As Robert said, CÉCS had asked, what do you guys want from us? So that was part of it. So partly right off the bat, we jumped into IT and physical resources. We designed up some COVID resources, which was like, here, Paul, here's my technology. We're open window decals, and it says, we're following safe COVID protocol, and physical distance floor stickers, and no customer bags on counters. Those are probably all backwards to you, sorry, but anyways.
They're perfectly clear.
Oh, it worked? Okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, we made that sort of collateral, and we accessed the plastic barriers, and we gave those out to our membership for free, the half cost on the plastic barriers. But partly for us, it was about showing the brand of downtown, that we together are prepared to welcome you back downtown, which, by the way, hashtag back downtown became a hashtag because, you know, we have to welcome everyone back. Oh, of course, we have a page on our website with all those resources because, yeah, it's hard to navigate, although I admit it was even hard to navigate for us. I don't know how useful it is anymore. But anyways, we also partnered with Vendasta. They are one of our, I'm just going to say IT companies in downtown. They have way more detail to them. But through that partnership, we were able to offer to our membership some tools to enhance their online presence. So that was a part of it. Then from the perspective of events and marketing, so any events we ran where sometimes we would expect a registration fee from even our membership businesses, we ran those for free for them. So that was our budget money that got put in, and our board had approved even more budget money to be dedicated to that. So we ran sidewalk sale on the regular weekend it should be. Then we tried it again in August. We ran a scavenger hunt, which allowed people to come without needing to have the commitment of shopping or eating or buying something, and just be able to check out downtown and be here. And then a patio contest as well. We also committed to buying gift cards ourselves from our businesses instead of, as sometimes we do, ask for that as a donation from them. And then essentially, that's a stop. Okay.
Oh, no.
Can I like
5 seconds?
5 seconds. Okay. Okay. We put lots more money into advertising the district because we can get people here, then the businesses can get them into their space. There's also advocacy we did. As I said, keep some of it, throw some of it away when COVID is done. But an interesting detail, we recently attended our own conference for business improvement districts, and among attendees were people from, it was virtual, by the way, were people from New York and Florida, where, of course, those are scary places. And in those sessions, we, as a smaller city, ended up looking like so far advanced in the process that people are looking to us to ask, how do you do it? How's it going to happen? And so that was an interesting detail. So kind of go small cities. Anyways. Ask me questions later. Tu me les demandes plus tard.
Yeah.
Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Sarah. C'était une bonne présentation, c'est intéressant. Ouais. Et puis, on arrive à nos vedettes ici, Jenna et Taylor. J'ai hâte d'entendre vos commentaires. It's nice to see you, Jenna and Taylor. Are you ready for the presentation?
We are ready.
All right.
And I'll ask the same question I asked Sarah and Robert. Do you guys have anything that you're needing to share the screen with?
No.
I'll
Just
let
our
you-
faces.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Can you guys hear us okay?
We have dishwasher noise in the back.
Okay.
Okay.
Loud.
So first of all, thank you so much for having us here. We are really looking forward to sharing our experience with you. A little bit of history about us as a company. We are been open in the downtown area since 2018. We started with half of the space that we currently have as a restaurant. We do dine-in, we do catering, we do private events. That was us pre-COVID. So just a little bit about our experience with what happened with the shutting down and then the reopening therefrom.
So basically our experience of what kind of went down was when it got to that first week of March, as we had kind of seen throughout April, we watched things start to happen, and Jenna and I had communicated a lot about, like, do we think that this is going to be coming our way? Like, how are we feeling about it? And then when we got into that first week of March, we really saw it like coming more on the forefront to affecting us. We socially distanced our tables the week before it was shut down. We took everything off of the tables. We were sanitizing harder than we normally do, which we like to pride ourselves in being an extremely clean restaurant in the heart of downtown. So we really took it to another level. We decided that on the Monday on that first week that we would just kind of give it a go. And by Tuesday, as we had watched several businesses that were very close to us, they had already started to shut down. That Monday, there was no customers really. Like, it was very strange. We had no lunch rush. It was like our caterings had started to call and cancel. And then by the time we had gotten to that Tuesday, Jenna and I sat down and we were like, okay, we're fearful for our staff. We're stressed about having people come in. We don't know what's happening. So her and I decided that the Tuesday before we were actually regulated to close, we decided to lay off all of our staff. So Tuesday evening rolls around, we let everybody know that we're no longer going to be open to the public. And Jenna and I decided that with ourselves and my parents who work here, that we would just provide takeout to people. So we just kind of decided that that was what we were going to do. And then by the Friday, when they had told us that restaurants had to close, that was when we just kind of decided to take a little step back and just reevaluate what it was that we were going to do going forward.
So we took the weekend off, Saturday and Sunday, and we chatted with each other about what it was that we were going to do, because we were fearful of letting people in the doors, because at that time it was scary. Nobody knew what was going on. So the take-home oven-ready meal service that we did during COVID was something that Taylor had done at her previous location. And it just sort of made sense to do something that was oven-ready and something that was more of a service for people than just offering our menu to go. The reasons for that being, it was something that was delivered cold and fridge temperature. So that kept us from having to worry about getting food from here to people hot, which meant that we could handle all of the delivery service ourselves without having to reach out to Skip the Dishes or Uber Eats or something where they're taking 30% off the top regardless. And since, like we mentioned, we'd laid off all of our staff, that was something that was important to us, was to be able to keep it in-house. And then the other thing was it allowed us the ability to time manage ourselves throughout the week without stressing ourselves out too much. So we were grocery shopping on Monday, cooking Monday, Tuesday, packing the meals, and then on Wednesday, and then assembling orders on Thursday and Friday. So it kept it manageable for us in a really stressful time to be able to sort of plan our weeks out ahead of us and then go about it that way. And then while we were doing that meal service, like I think we were 12 weeks or so
at least.
of
doing the service, which we originally started off as me texting everyone from my personal cell phone. We advertised the meals on our social media, and then we gathered numbers from people that were interested. We had a contact list, and it was me texting and phoning people from my personal cell phone until we had our website guy jump in and help us and set up a platform on the website. But we built the business up right around Easter. We had it so that we were making around 450 meals a week, and we were doing 150 deliveries between 2 vehicles. We would go guys versus girls. Our husbands would go out and we would go and we would see who could get them done the fastest. But doing that, we were able to keep ourselves afloat, pay our rent, which was our biggest concern throughout the whole thing, and then also save up money to begin a renovation on our market space that we opened, which was a dream of ours since we first came to the downtown area in 2018.
So throughout the meal service, a really important part of that for us too was to make sure that we could stay safe as possible. So Jenna and I really took into consideration only going to the grocery store once a week, being extremely careful when we were there. Delivering was something that we were literally ding dong ditching. We were dropping it on the doorstep, you know, doing the thing and waving to everybody, thanking them from afar. But it was something that kept us safe while providing the service to people and keeping them safe as well. So once the weather started to get a little bit nicer, like Jenna was saying, about 12 weeks in, it was a time when we decided that we would just go ahead with that market renovation. There's about 600 square feet on the left side of our establishment that was just this space that wasn't being utilized, and we decided that since this meal service had just really opened up service to people that they obviously needed and they were willing to continue to support, that we wanted to keep doing that throughout the future. And because we knew that COVID was going to be, like Robert had said, a year to 2 years, something we're going to have to deal with as a long-term thing, we just wanted to make that move and that pivot into adding that into our business that we currently ran. So we slowed down a little bit on our meal service at about week 13, and we just took that opportunity to renovate. It was 3 weeks that we did renovations, and then we got ready to reopen for dine-in with our market space that could continue our service that we had just built up throughout COVID.
Since reopening for dine-in and with our new market space, it's been a lot different than it was previous.
Yeah.
Being that we're in the downtown area, we were very much 12 to 1 was our crazy lunch rush. We would fill, we would turn the tables, and then that would be it because everyone's back to work. But we're finding that now every day feels a little more like a weekend. People are staggering their lunch breaks so that they're not all in the same place at the same time. And people have a little bit more time to just sort of spend in a restaurant without just having to leave.
The liquor sales have gone up.
Yes, they have, significantly.
During the day.
Yeah, so we are finding ourselves, even though we are still at half capacity in our restaurant, we're not a very big space, Sarah can attest to that, but we're finding that with the staggered times of people joining us, we are managing to hit the same sales or better on the regular than we were at full capacity open pre-COVID. So,
which is something that we know. We know that a lot of people, they don't get the ability to say that, and that's something that really humbles both Jenna and I. We really amped up our social media game. That was something that was super important throughout this whole process. We took 2 days off, and in that 2 days we were like, we have to tell everyone what we're doing. We have to stay in the minds of people consistently. So much. Yeah, there was just, we did more speaking to people to try and generate and just build a relationship with people because they were stuck at home. We wanted to,
that's what they needed.
They needed it. They needed to say hello to, we wanted to say hello to them. They wanted to say hello to us. So it was like, it was something that was really important. And we found that it honestly created this presence that people, they still think about us because we won't stop. Like,
and I still get text messages on my cell phone from people that we delivered to in COVID. You know, we had guests or clients, I guess, that we were dropping off meals to for their elderly parents who couldn't leave their homes. And, you know, we got to know a lot about our clients' lives, which is something that, I don't know.
It was important. We know where they all live.
Yeah.
It's quite nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely something that we know that the length of it is not going to be short. But it's something that we've put the effort in from the very beginning. So with things coming back around in kind of a weird way where it could be second wave style, hopefully not closing, but if it comes to it, we know what we're going to do. We have a plan. We've created a platform. We're currently working on a WooCommerce page for our marketing space where it is a little bit more efficient for people to purchase things from our market, because we currently have where everything that is listed in our market, you can order it online for delivery to your house, or you can get pickup. We'll do things like curbside pickup. We will deliver to family members. We will do anything that people want. And that's honestly something that we've found is the reason that we have been so successful throughout this, is that we just want to make people happy with our food. And we know that this is a really rough time for everyone. And eating something that's delicious is just like the easiest way to feel just a little bit of reprieve and a little bit of comfort through something that's such an uncomfortable time for so many different people. But coming forward, we have felt that in our business with reopening dine-in and getting just kind of a little bit back into the swing of things, we're really comfortable with our sanitizing program. We are comfortable with the types of catering that we now have to do. Everything is individually packaged. We've really taken this opportunity to basically reassess our entire business, because pre-COVID, we were growing so exponentially that we didn't have the opportunity to go through some of the areas that we needed to, where it was you know, just finishing off those projects and assessing the areas that needed to kind of have a little bit of work done to them. Jenna and I literally went through every square foot of our restaurant and we optimized every single area, every menu, every thing that we just could do. We just decided, like, you get one, hopefully one time is like this, and we would take that opportunity to the best advantage that we could. So yeah. It's been interesting.
Yeah.
You still have 3 minutes.
Okay.
We still have 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Caterings, maybe?
Yeah. So we say that with coming back around, that our dine-in sales have been equal to or greater. However, we are feeling the hit big time on the catering front. As Sarah brought to mind, lots of people are returning to the downtown area slowly. Our catering business prior to COVID was huge. We do breakfast, lunch, private events, dinners, etc. So we felt that the loss of the 15-person lunch or the 10-person breakfast or the 100-person wedding, we felt that big time. That being said, we have also had smaller weddings come back around, and we're now in a, because we have to be under 30 people, we're now in a place where we can fit inside of your establishment. We now have the budget to spend a little bit more on those 30 people. When they do come to eat, we can have the appies and the drinks and the kind of the fancier experience that we wanted to have but couldn't afford for 100 people. So that's another point.
On that front, it's been really, we've seen a lot of small groups get together it's almost more personal, which we really appreciate. As being a small female locally owned establishment, that's something that we just really love. So it's been a weird time, but it's something that we're just trying to grow and take it day by day and just do the best that we can. So yeah.
Yes, 1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute.
Whoa. Voulez-vous prendre, do you want to take this opportunity to mention your website and your...
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. So like I was saying, we, because we've opened up our market, we are currently working on just getting our website to be a little bit more user friendly. It's always work in progress as we're both busy girls, but we try to do our best. We also have a gentleman that kind of helps us put it together, which is great, and we very much appreciate him. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things where the easier that it is for people to order, the easier that it was for us. Jenna didn't have to spend 13 hours a day texting people and talking to them on the phone personally. She actually, we could use her in the kitchen and packing orders. So working on our website is always something that we're just trying to do. If you guys want to check out our website, it's livingskycafe.com. Head over, let us know what you think. Check out our Instagram and our Facebook page. It's really great. We put lots of pictures up on there, so it kind of gives you a gist of what we're all about. So yeah.
Well, now I think it's time for the questions.
Before we start that, Stéphane,
Okay, go.
just for our own marketing purposes, I'm
Oh, yeah, sure.
everyone to put their cameras on just so I can get a screenshot or two of the participants. So if you guys can put your cameras on, I'd appreciate that. The CECS would appreciate it. Oh,
Yeah, I would like to add some information. We will try to keep on going on this term of the pandemic, and we are looking to organize something for October 30. So the next one will be about retail industry. We will have somebody from Federated Co-op that will make testimony about the strategy to develop. And we're looking for a small business as well. So if you know somebody in the retail industry, call us. We'll appreciate it. Thank you.
Bonjour Stéphane, c'est Robert ici. Juste un petit mot, quand tu as fait ça, je croyais que j'avais 10 minutes passées déjà et c'est pour ça que j'ai terminé plus rapidement. So being the first one, I thought I was at the 10-minute mark, and so I cut it short, but that's fine. I'll answer any questions that people may have.
Désolé Robert, j'aurais dû mentionner. Is there anybody with questions or comments, maybe?
Okay. I've got a couple pictures there, so I appreciate that we're able to.
Oh yeah, sure, the pictures. The
camera on there, so thank you. So Stéphane, back to you.
Yeah. Did you do the picture? Yeah.
Yeah, I took some pictures.
All right.
Leslie, I think Leslie.
Okay, Leslie, yeah, you have a question?
You're on mute right now. There we go.
Bonjour à tous. Donc moi, my name is Leslie, and I'm working for the newspaper, the Francophone newspaper, L'Eau Vive. So I'm gonna write an article about this session. I had some questions. Robert, bonjour Robert.
Bonjour Leslie.
Est-ce que je voudrais savoir si tu as des chiffres ou pas du tout. Est-ce que tu as des données qui t'ont été communiquées ou pas du tout en termes d'entreprises qui auraient pu avoir des...
Non, comme j'ai indiqué, ce que je donnais aujourd'hui, c'était un aperçu parce que je suis en train d'écrire le rapport final qui sera soumis au CCS dans la prochaine semaine. Alors, non, je ne vais pas donner des chiffres à ce niveau-là parce que je ne l'ai pas remis au CCS encore.
Oh, je pensais que j'allais avoir la primeur.
Non.
Ok, bon, c'est bon pour moi alors. Ensuite, my next question is for Sarah. Well, hi, Sarah. I would like to just understand better about your session with New York and people from Florida. So, can you just explain just a little bit more details about it? So
sure. So it's kind of like our professional association, although it's technically not one, where business improvement districts across the world get together. Normally, I technically would have been in Florida right now. However, we did it all virtually. And so we have cities and people representing downtowns and business improvement districts who come from across the world. And so, we usually go and we're like, whoa, what's New York doing? What's Florida doing? What are they all doing? Because we want to know and emulate what they do. However, you know, here we are in an opposite position of being the more advanced through the phases. And so they're looking to us going, okay, I mean, so many of them, they're still not even allowed to have restaurants and retail open. So we're miles ahead of having figured out how that is working for everybody.
J'ai remarqué qu'il y a eu un échange sur le chat à propos de Living Sky pour Living Sky. How did you take the payment? Jenna et Taylor ont répondu, currently we are only set up to do e-transfer or credit card over the phone. So c'est intéressant. However, we are working toward a WooCommerce platform to be able to accept online payment. Thank you, Jenna.
So Sarah, what is the name of exactly the name of your event?
So it's called the International Downtown Association's Annual General Conference, I think. IDA is what we call it, but.
Okay. Thank you. And I had another question.
Fine.
Yeah, and it's it's like for Jenna and Taylor. Hi. And so you said like at the 13th week, like 13th week of like 13th like July, June, like
13th week of being closed.
of being closed. Okay, and
Yeah,
then
so we just kept track of it by weeks, but I want to say that that was in the end of May.
Yeah,
Middle
because
to end of May.
restaurants reopened, I want to say
June 16th, they were able to.
I was like, what?
In the middle of June, they were able to reopen. So 3 weeks prior to when they were able to reopen is when we started the renovation for our marketplace.
Yeah.
okay, so you said like you guys use a lot like the social medias and like your website. So my guess is that it's like the lesson or like the positive thing that you have now is like more like using interactive things and platforms online.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good for me. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else have questions or comments?
Oui, moi j'aurais une question, Stéphane.
Yep, vas-y, Sylvain.
Oui, c'est Sylvain Arigina. J'aurais une question pour Sarah à Saskatoon. Dans vos initiatives comme ville à Saskatoon, est-ce que vous avez monté des programmes d'aide ou des programmes de financement autres que qu'est-ce qu'il y avait de disponible à travers du provincial puis du fédéral? So my question is, did you, as a downtown Saskatoon, did you have any initiatives or programs to help small businesses? Could be like tax breaks or, you know, financial initiatives. Was that part of your program as well?
So, notre compagnie ne fait pas partie de la ville telle qu'elle. Et de notre côté, nous, on a choisi, nous, de ne pas offrir de l'argent pour des grants de ce côté parce qu'on pensait on sera mieux de mettre l'argent à faire un gros bon ou bien pour tout le centre-ville. De l'autre côté, la ville même, je sais que, par exemple, ils ont fait un délai des paiements qui attendaient pour, was it property taxes? Je ne sais pas, quelque chose, et je pense que le 30 septembre, c'était la date limite, et là, il faut commencer à repayer ça. So, il y avait ces délais de paiement permis. So, yeah, and so just to recap quickly in English, our own company organization, we didn't do any granting for our membership. We figured we would put our dollars into something that would work for our whole membership. And not just a one-time grant. It's going to help them through this many months, and then what do we do afterwards? Many other business improvement districts did get into granting, but we had not made that jump yet. But then I know that the city of Saskatoon, a different business than we are, but they did do something where they deferred payments. September 30th was a big deadline here, and so now those payments are needing to start being repaid. But yeah, so does that answer the question, Sylvain?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I thought maybe you were part of the city, like some sort of funding from the city. So now I know you're independent from the city, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
J'ai
And
vu
one
des-
question for, yeah, I've got one more question for Jenna and Taylor. Thanks for the presentation. That was really interesting. I'm just curious, like as far as, you know, now that you said you're reopened on limited ways as far as getting clients, like do you have like a protocol as far as testing yourself for COVID? Or like I know it's not easy to test in Saskatchewan as it is in other provinces. And so have you done any protocols of testing yourself after maybe like a couple of weeks, and then see how you guys, how your family is responding to the COVID? And feel free to. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So Jenna and I, throughout the entire pandemic, we were very like self-assessive, and we would take our temperatures. That was one thing that we would always just keep track of, making sure that our temperature was good. So with our staff and bringing them back, basically what we've done is we ask them, are you feeling any symptoms? We basically log everybody. Have you been out of the city is what we ask them, just because even Saskatoon has been doing really well. But with that being said, there are communities that are around us. So that's something that we just ask our staff. If they're feeling any symptoms, if they are, what their temperature is, and if anybody is feeling any bit of symptoms, they are not able to come to work until their self-monitoring period is done.
And they've had a test and it's come back negative.
Yeah.
We have been very lucky so far that we haven't had anyone that has been sick, and we're a very close-knit group. Like since we're such a small place, there's only about 11 or 12 of us that work here, ourselves included and Taylor's parents included. So we're kind of lucky in that way that we wear masks while we're working, but we're also just confident that everyone is doing the best they can and taking the precautions they can.
Thank you. Awesome. That's great.
Et je crois que j'avais une question qui venait de Robert.
Non, c'était pas une question, c'est juste un commentaire pour répondre un peu à Sylvain. Quand j'ai fait le sondage, une question supplémentaire était également est-ce qu'il y avait reçu d'aide des municipalités ou d'autres groupes, que ce soit des chambres de commerce ou des choses comme ça. So in the survey, I was asking individuals if there was any other assistance that they had received or that they had applied for in terms of municipal or even chambers of commerce or groups, professional groups, or anything like that. And there's only one business out of those that I interviewed that stated that they had made application. That was to the city of Regina for some assistance, and they were waiting for a response, that they hadn't gotten a response yet whether they qualified or not. And the other thing that was included was in terms of buy local, because we did see some campaigns, certainly in Regina, in terms of Chamber of Commerce that encouraging to buy local and stuff like that, support your local businesses. And I did get feedback from businesses saying that they seem to have gotten a lot of comments from people saying it made consumers reflect a little bit and say, okay, you know, this is hitting us and we've got to do something. So yes, certainly, you know, there has been some feedback in terms of business, and I don't have any numbers on that. There's been some feedback in terms of businesses saying that we're getting a lot more comments from people saying, you know, we're really focusing more on buying local than we are, you know, that sort of thing. So that's something that's come out of the pandemic. I think that might hopefully will be longer lasting and that sort of thing. So that's some of the comments I just wanted to share in terms of the questions asked in terms of the additional assistance that they could have gotten from somewhere else.
I believe Sarah had a question.
Sarah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Suzanne.
I'll tack on to the shop local, because certainly that is all over our own social media as well. And it's with our membership what it is. I mean, we equally have Jenna and Taylor, who are truly local, women run, like that's version of local, but we also have the Bay, for example. And sure, they are not head office headquartered here, but by you shopping at the physical store, the Bay, you are employing people that work in your city, and they are getting that credit as opposed to that online purchase and shipped to your door. So we have different versions of what shopping local entails. And at this point, I mean, to us, it's really just shop downtown. Shop in a store with a door is one particular campaign. And really it's all of those versions give people in our local community a job as well. So celebrating all sorts of local.
To expand to that, Sarah, I did get some comments, and I can use Tim Hortons. I didn't interview a Tim Hortons owner, but franchisees and stuff like that. And certainly, you're getting a national chain or international chain sometimes, but it is local franchisees that have those operations too. So the support there, even though there is some money that is going outside, there is still some money that's being supported to a local business owner. Like I said, maybe Tim Hortons isn't a good example, but there are others, certainly where it's franchise owners that are benefiting from it too and stuff. And I think that, the slogan of shop where there's a door, as such, has taken off a little bit, and people are taking that a little bit more to heart through this pandemic.
J'aurais peut-être une question. I may have a question for you related to human resources. What do you see in the future for human resources? Is the pandemic has an impact on your policy related to human resources? Hello? I lost my people. Hi. Yeah. Did you understand?
Sorry, no, I didn't hear. I'm so sorry.
It was about it was for any of the presenters, if they have a vision, the point of view about what's going to happen for human resources, the kind of profile you would look like in the future because of the pandemic, and what did you learn from the pandemic, and what kind of people are you going to look for in the future?
So I would say that it's something that, instead of trying to read too much into what so far from now is going to be like Jenna and I to save our sanity, we really just try and go day to day and assessing things at like the end of the week. We say like, how is this week? What are the things that we've got going on? What are the people that we've kind of connected with? So it's basically, we just try to take it easy on ourselves, just to do the best that we can. And going forward, we're really just trying to nail down what is working for us. We've learned through this whole experience that to keep things, to like try and hold on to things that aren't really benefiting is not the way that we will be successful during this period. You really have to keep the things that are working well for you and roll with them until such time that they're not doing the justice anymore, and then letting them go is also okay. Like with our service, the service that we did throughout COVID, it was a lot more in depth than what we're still continuing to do, because like she said, we're only a staff of 11 or 12. You can only do so much, but we still are keeping that service going. It's just on a different scale. So yeah, just trying to like assess and communicate, seeing how other people are feeling, what other people are doing, what SHA is kind of like guiding us in what we should be, looking for and going forward. So that's kind of what we've just been trying to do. So yeah.
So HR wise, I think Jenna and Taylor are showing one example of kind of working with your family because they're your bubble anyways. I think we are also seeing a lot of really small businesses who basically have not got their staff back, and they're just running the whole show by themselves, which I think can only sustain for so long.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, also to mention, I think that we are seeing a lot of businesses who, if they were paying their staff not as much as you could get from that government subsidy, it's a struggle to get those staff back because they're looking at it as, oh, I can just get that money and not work. So I think that's a reality of the HR scene right now as well. But yeah, I mean, of course you can't screen and only hire healthy people, and it's a moot point because we can become unhealthy. But yeah, other than that, haven't heard any of who you're hiring or what.
Good. D'autres questions? Any other comments or questions? Oui, Asma Tunisa, excuse-moi la prononciation. I'm sorry for my pronunciation. Asma Tunisa.
Yeah, like how long could this pandemic continue striking onto these businesses so far, and how long will it continue, and what could be criteria adopting for so long?
From the information I gathered in terms of the pandemic, the outlook was certainly looking more in the long term because business owners were not saying that, well, we're already past the 6-month mark. So, you know, we're not saying that it's something that is here for, you know, a short term. They're expecting that it's going to take 2 years, you know, and pour répondre à la question des ressources humaines aussi, beaucoup indiqué qu'il faut regarder en termes de, non seulement en termes de la pandémie, mais juste même la saison de influenza as such, and looking at it a little bit differently in terms of making sure that staff are not becoming spreaders, whether it's just the flu or whether it's just other things, that they're more mindful now as to what can happen in terms of the impact it may have if people are not taking sanitary measures to prevent the spread of flu or that sort of thing. So the long term, and who knows how long this pandemic is going to be in. They're talking about a 3rd wave now. So, you know, who knows?
Yes.
If I had a crystal ball, we may not have been in this whole mess in the first place. I don't have that crystal ball to know how long it will last. But I think a conclusion to be drawn is through your adaptations that are already happening, there is so much of it that you can mentally, physically, logistically plan to continue and just be ready to continue as long as we need to. And yeah, so in terms of how long, I know we had made a new shopping tote, and right off the get-go, we did not want to put our hashtag back downtown on it because that to us linked to COVID. And we thought, nah, we hope we're over COVID and not celebrating COVID anymore, and getting on beyond it. So there's different, you know, ways you can look at it of how you're handling and going forward. Of course, we're still being safe, but we're just not, you know, we're not even specifically keeping up to date our COVID resources webpage right now. So there's, you know, different versions of how it's going to dwindle.
Okay. Thank you.
You can go on, Asma Tunisa. Okay.
So the businesses are affected. So how is the IT field affected? Do you have any information on that?
Sure.
I didn't hear the question. Can you speak a little bit louder?
I think was the question, how has the IT field been affected?
Yes, you're right.
Okay. Again, I think, I mean, as I even joked earlier, hope you bought your Zoom stocks, because there are certainly IT fields that are booming right now. Even just people who have jobs like being social media influencers or help businesses with their social media. Vendasta, for example, who we partnered with to be able to help get websites going and that side of it. We're certainly seeing that industry is thriving right now on supporting all of us who are floundering and wondering how to be seen and heard.
I would like to tell you that you can also use the chat for exchanging between you as well. No more questions? Well, sounds pretty good. All right, so I think it's over. It's done. That was a nice presentation. All of you made a really good performance on it. And I hope to see you for the next one by the end of October. So I will keep you informed about what's going to happen. And yeah, hope to see you soon. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having us.
Merci Stéphane. Au revoir.
Merci.
Sarah,
Merci à tous.
Sarah,
Bye tout le monde.
tu peux rester sur la vidéo?
Oui.
Merci. Je vais te parler dans une minute.
C'est